If I sat here and told you to list out 10 things that you thought could possibly go wrong this week, you would be able to tell me very easily. You probably have the list at the back of your hand. But on the flip side, if I sat here and asked you to tell me 10 things that would go perfectly for you, you might give me a little bit of pause. You might not be able to list things out, or you might not even be able to think of anything at all. This is actually by design. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Have Breakfast. I'm your host, Jaden Liz, and this is a space where we are building our dream lives with intention. We have been conditioned to always prepare for the worst, and that is a habit that oftentimes keeps us in survival mode. Our brains have this negativity bias that we easily perceive things to be negative because we are trying to protect ourselves. We're on the defense, we're expecting the worst, we're trying to assess danger and make sure that we are protected. But survival is not just about staying safe. We want to move into a space where we're training our brains to see opportunity as abundance, and we want to sit in that same intensity that the negativity would bring. So I've been using the word abundance a lot lately, and I don't mean it in this like woo-woo, everything is great, everything that glitters is gold kind of way. I mean it more so in a way that I'm perceiving all of these good things happening to me as abundance. I could choose to see some of these unfortunate situations as like everything bad is happening to me. I don't know when things are going to get good again. But because I have continued to train my brain to perceive these good things that are happening, like, yes, there's bad, there's also really good. And I'm choosing to look at the good over the bad. And because I've been focusing on that, I feel so much more abundant. I feel like opportunities are coming to me at the right time. I feel like everything is falling into place because I'm trusting in the process and I'm training my brain to be more positive. And this is because we are rewiring our own thoughts. You have to set some boundaries and rules for yourself in order to shift your mindset so that way you don't continue to backslide into this lack or not having kind of logic. It all starts with you. So for this first exercise, I want you to think about all of the times you have said, what if it goes wrong? What if it doesn't XYZ? This, that, and the other. Always casting negativity or doubts over some of these plans that you want to enact. Instead of thinking, what if it fails or what if it doesn't perform well, I want you to replace that with, but what if it is better than I could even imagine? You have to force your brain to finish that thought. This is what we call the pivot. We are pivoting our thought process. The moment that negative neuron is placed in your brain, you have to swat it out and replace it with, what if it's better than I imagined? I can recall back when I had this really big work opportunity and I was anxious. I was making myself sick because I was so anxious. I was panicking. I was thinking literally all of the negative thoughts that I possibly could. Like, this is not going to go well. I don't know what's going to happen. Like, I don't feel prepared for this. And I remember finally sitting there and I'm like, but what if it actually goes well? Like, it never occurred to me what would happen if this was successful, which is crazy because you have so much potential and you are casting so much doubt on yourself that you won't even be able to tap into that potential if you tried because you're putting so much negativity on that opportunity. Once I realized that I was doing all of this and I was just so negative about it, I sat down with my journal and I wrote out a prompt that was like, I get to stay at this amazing 5-star hotel. I get to go to this concert. I get to ride in a car service in New York. I get to. You have to reframe your mind from all of the ways that something could go wrong and think about the ways that it could go right. There were so many good things about this opportunity that I was not allowing myself to see because I was so set in the negative, and that's what my brain wanted me to perceive, that I didn't even give myself a chance to imagine how great it could actually be. And I partially want to attribute some of that to rewiring my brain, because had I gone in there with such a negative mindset or fear that something wouldn't go right or feeling like I wasn't equipped to do something, that's exactly what I would have projected. You are projecting the energy that you are consuming. So if you are only consuming negative thoughts about yourself, about the opportunity, about your abundance, you're only going to get negativity. If you're only consuming positive stuff, you are going to perceive everything as so much more positive. And that's why it's really important to have a language shift. So instead of saying, I have to do this thing, you reframe it to saying, I get to. It shifts you from being the victim of your circumstances into having power over the thing. As you're working to shift your mindset, it's also really important to stop looking at other people's success as something that is taking away from you. Success, abundance is not on a budget, and you can always ask for more. And just because other people are getting things too, doesn't mean you're gonna get less. Doesn't mean it's taking away from any of the work that you're doing. So I think when you are feeling envious or you are looking at others and you're doing the whole little comparison game, it's really important to shift your focus back on yourself. Release the gatekeeping. This is not a girl boss gatekeep situation. There is room for everyone to sit at the table, and you have to respect that. Also, as you are working to shift your mindset, it is really important to try and have firm boundaries on the conversations that are happening around you. So all of those conversations you're having with your friends that feel like they're sitting in negativity are places that you should try to stop engaging as much. I'm not saying to ignore your friends' needs. I'm not telling you to be a bad friend by any means. Obviously, things are happening, real life situations happen, and sometimes they do skew more negative. Like, everything is not always going to be sunshine and rainbows and full of abundance. And as much as we rewire our brains, things are still going to happen. Bad things are still going to happen. But at the end of the day, these conversations can feed into some of that negative thought process that you're working to rewire. So these conversations that specifically are only focusing on the negative. It's like you're in a conversation with your friend and you're giving them suggestions on how to make their situation better, and they constantly are shooting you down. You're like, but have you tried this? And they're like, no, that would never work anyways. You're like, okay, I hear you, but like, what about this? And they still come back and constantly in this state of negativity and don't believe that better is going to happen for them. Those are the kind of conversations I'm talking about. Don't be rude and completely dismiss this person, but start observing a little bit how these conversations are going. What's the frequency of them? How is it making you feel after? Do you feel drained? Do you feel like it's taking away from some of your positive energy? There's always going to be something negative to talk about, but it's how are we dwelling in this? Are we sharing our frustrations and coming up with solutions and helping each other out? That's perfect. That's feeding into best case scenario. We're trying to think of better situations for ourselves. But if it's constantly complaining, and I have an episode about chronic complainers, if that's all we're doing in these conversations, maybe it's time to shift your attention elsewhere for the time being. But we can't just say we're gonna do all these things and not put it into practice. So now is time to imagine your best case scenario. We are going to use our imagination for good and think about our specific vision. And this is the portion of the episode where, of course, I'm giving you homework because we are nothing if we are not building intentionally. So this should be really helpful to get your brain started on where you want to go. So the first exercise is a scripting exercise. I want you to write a daily report from your day a year in the future. So 2026 or whatever year you're tuning into this episode, a year from this date. What is your life going to look like? I want you to write a daily report of how your day went, things that are happening, what your job is, what you're doing. As you're doing this, you want to focus on the feeling of abundance, the ease, the confidence, the luxury that you are experiencing in your daily life. Maybe it's a random Tuesday. What are you doing on a random Tuesday? What is making you feel good? What is your best case scenario of how you feel a year from now? Okay, and once you get that out of the way, I want you to start an evidence folder. You could do this in a few different ways. I would recommend using your notes app or Notion or wherever you're kind of keeping a log of recent activity. You could also use your photo app or go to analog methods and use an actual journal, whatever works for you in this situation. But this is an area where you can celebrate all of your small wins. So every single time something is going right, no matter what it is, no matter how small or big, I want you to document it. I want you to write it in your notes. I want you to take a picture of it. I want you to do whatever makes sense for you to compile all of this evidence that things can be even better than you imagined. This is your proof of concept. It's your proof of abundance. This is abundance in action. And this is going to start that pattern recognition of, oh, things are actually possible for me. This is happening more frequently than I even realized. It is going to start making so much more sense to your brain once you see that there is evidence that this is possible. Now, if you want to take things a step further, you're a straight A student, you really just have to do this extra credit. I would highly recommend putting your best case scenario thinking into action. So for this, I want you to spend 5 minutes every single morning thinking about the best case scenario for your hardest task of the day. I always say do the hardest thing first. So thinking about what the best case scenario is for the hardest task on your to-do list. This will start to activate your brain on how even some of the most mundane or annoying or time-consuming things can be good. I don't want to say great, I don't want to say amazing, I don't want to say flawless, but whatever the best case scenario is for you in that situation, if it's just getting it done, that's perfect in this scenario. Because our brain is not used to thinking about the best case scenario, we are oftentimes self-sabotaging ourselves because abundance feels unfamiliar and therefore it makes it feel unsafe. And to be honest, we stay in struggle because it's comfortable. We know struggle. We've been there. It feels familiar, like a warm blanket, and we know how to handle struggle. This new thing, this abundance, this positivity that's coming my way, I'm not used to it, so I don't know how to react to it. So instead of self-sabotaging, which I have a whole episode on how to stop self-sabotaging, we want to do the reverse. You need to define what your glass ceiling is and break it. We get really, really uncomfortable when we're kind of at our limit of all of the capacity we can handle. We're like, we've done everything on our list. We feel successful, except this one thing that has been weighing on me for a little bit, but I'm not going to do it for 3 more weeks because I'm really excited about the opportunity. That's just something we tend to do because we want to sit in the comfort of what we know. This big opportunity over here that we haven't explored, that we haven't experienced before, we don't know what the result is going to be. And so we tend to avoid it, or we self-sabotage, or we just don't start because the unknown is scary. But that's why we have to start conditioning our brain to do the hard thing, to step into our power and not be so scared. Abundance is also accepting that right now is good enough. We are in such a goal-driven society. We're always reaching for the next step. And a lot of times I feel like we struggle to sit in the present, but right now is good enough. Right now might be your best case scenario from 2 years ago. You are living in abundance right now, so don't wait for special occasions. Right now is the special occasion. You need to stop saving the best version of yourself for your future life and let them be right now. As a little treat yourself moment, I think how you can practice this is by getting yourself something nice, something that represents this dream life version of yourself. This could be even just like a little bouquet from Trader Joe's or whatever you feel like represents that persona of yourself. Get that for you, celebrate yourself, and celebrate all of the small wins that have gotten you here to this day. In short, I'm not on a high horse, but I do have to say that abundance is a muscle that you have to continuously work. The more you look for it, the more you're going to find it. The more you exercise it, the better it's going to be. The best case scenario is not this Princess Cinderella story. It is a choice that you make every single morning. You have to wake up and think, if I knew for a fact I wouldn't fail today, what's the first thing that I would do? Think about that. And I leave you with a final challenge. For the next 24 hours, you are not allowed to speak negatively about yourself, any extension of you. So that's your finances, your relationships, your belongings. You can't doubt your potential and you cannot complain. You need to act, speak, breathe, live, believe that your best case scenario is the day that you are living that 24 hours. It's already a done deal. Signed, sealed, delivered. I want you to observe how much energy you are really preserving when you are not constantly bracing for disaster. This challenge hopefully will help propel you into the best case scenario, into shifting your mindset, into making your brain believe that the best is possible for you. Thanks for listening to another episode of Let's Have Breakfast.